Hi, Tom here again, doing another one of our videos to help assist you in figuring out which is the right pontoon for you. In this video, what I want to do is I want to explain some of the differences in the 5 different types of center tube or triple tube or tri-toon, whatever you want to call it, types of pontoons. So as I said, there's 5 different types of center tubes. I'm going to show you some photos here. The first one I'm going to show you is a photo of a sport tube. Now in this photo you'll notice that the center tube does not go the full length of the pontoon. It's a 3/4 length center tube, and they're utilizing the transom of a regular 2-tube boat. Now what's the reason for a sport tube? A sport tube is a very inexpensive center tube. It does increase the horsepower rating of the boat. It does increase the maximum carrying capacity of the boat, but it does not give you the overall performance that a full-length center tube will do. So what happens is a lot of times people come in and they go, yeah, you know, I'm just looking for like something with 115 horse or something like that, and I want a triple tune, but I really don't care about top speed. What I'm after is more carrying capacity, more buoyancy in a triple tune pontoon. So in that particular circumstance, a sport tube might be a good way to go. But on the other hand, if you're looking to do sport recreation, pulling the kids on tubes and water skis and overall performance, maybe a different type of center tube might be better for you. Now here's a photo of a round center tube. And you'll notice in this photo that all 3 tubes are the same diameter. Generally speaking, they're 25-inch diameter pontoons. And this is very good. This is a full-length center tube, and it's better than a sport tube. It's going to give you a little better performance, and it's a little bit more expensive than what a sport tube is. The next photo is that of an elliptical tube. Now, if I remember right, I believe that Bennington has a patent on their elliptical tube. And of course, elliptical is kind of a egg-shaped center tube. And the performance of this tube is better than the round 25-inch diameter center tube. The next photo is that of a PTX that Premier has a patent on. And you notice the shape of the center tube where it goes straight down on the sides, it angles in, and then it flattens out. And I'll explain why it does that in just a minute. And then the last type is a SHP center tube, V-tune technology, as Monaco calls it. And they have a patent on this center tube, whereas you can see in the photo, this center tube protrudes down farther into the water than what any of the other models that we previously took a look at. So let's talk about what a center tube does for you. The whole idea and principle behind a center tube is to give you more lift, to get the boat up on top of the water rather than plowing through the water. The more boat we can get up and out of the water, the less drag we have. The less drag we have, the better the performance. Okay? So here's an example. Let's take your kitchen sink. You have 2 halves to your kitchen sink. Fill them both up with water. On one half we put a bowl, and the other half we put a cake pan. Now we put a pound of weight in each one. Which one sinks down further? Obviously the bowl does. So now if we were to latch an outboard motor onto that bowl and that cake pan, and we drive it across the lake, which one's going to plow through the water, reducing the performance? Obviously the bowl will. Okay? So what companies do is they put lifting strakes on. These are those long aluminum ribs, and here's a picture of a pontoon. You'll see the red lines. Those are lifting strakes on the inside of the outer tubes. Okay? So that's a pair, 2 lifting strakes. Here's a photo with the blue lines, and these are 4 lifting strakes. So they have a pair of lifting strakes on the center tube, and they have a pair of lifting strakes on the inside of the outer tube. Now, obviously, the more lifting strakes that you put on these tubes, the higher you lift the boat up and out of the water, and the better the performance. However, the more lifting strakes you put on, especially if you had lifting strakes on the outside of the outer tubes, you're preventing the boat from rolling as the boat goes through a corner. And what these boat manufacturers want to do is to get that tube, that outer tube, to come up out of the water, so it makes it easier for you as a driver to go around a corner, and it makes it more comfortable for the passengers inside the boat too. Okay, so as I said, the whole idea and principle behind a triple toon is to lift the boat up on top of the water. So if you can imagine a boat plowing through the water like this, water hitting the tubes, there's a lot of drag there. So if we can get that boat up on top of the water, much like a runabout or a flat bottom fishing boat, we're going to reduce the drag, we're going to get better performance, we're going to get better fuel economy, et cetera, et cetera. So there's many different ways of getting that boat up on top of the water, and some are going to get up higher out of the water than others. Take, for example, the Premier PTX, where the center tube goes straight down on the sides, it angles in, and then on the bottom it flattens out. That flat spot in the bottom is called a planing pad. They have a 6-inch planing pad and a 12-inch planing pad. And again, the whole idea is to get more lift, to get the boat up on top of the water. Now, to get the boat to roll through a corner. Think of a sports car going around a corner. That sports car doesn't lean very much when it goes around a corner, where you take a four-wheel drive pickup truck that's kind of jacked up high and you drive it around the corner, and that truck tends to lean. Okay, so what I'm saying is the more we can get the boat up on top of the water, when we do put it into a corner, the more it leans. That outer tube comes completely out of the water. Now, Monaco, for example, with their SHP hull, is doing the same thing, only they're using a round center tube, but it's protruding farther down into the water, and when you do that, the water's hitting that center tube and supplying lift, getting the boat up on top of the water more, again reducing drag, better performance, and helping it roll through the corner. So from our experience, the round or elliptical tubes don't lift the boat up as high as what the PTX or the SHP center tube does from Monaco. Now let's talk about horsepower on these center tubes. Generally speaking, let's use the example of the 22-foot Premier that I've shown you in a couple of my previous videos. And as we talked in the previous videos, that 22-foot twin tube is rated to 115 horsepower. When we go to a sport tube, it increases the horsepower rating to 150 horse. When we go to a PTX, it increases the horsepower to 175 horse, because the PTX is bigger, stronger, and it'll handle more horsepower. It also increases the person capacity from 11 persons to 13 persons. Okay? So as I mentioned in my previous video, if we took an average of 140 pounds per person times 13, that'll give us our total carrying capacity. Again, you may not find 11 or 13 seats on the boat, because there just isn't enough room in some of these different models, but it does give us more buoyancy. So if we're adding sea legs, as I talked about earlier, the weight of a set of sea legs is decreasing the carrying capacity of the boat. And now if we go to a triple toon, we're increasing the carrying capacity of the boat. And when we put sea legs on, we're getting back to a normal capacity. Okay, so is there a difference between, say, a twin tube and a triple toon? Absolutely. Is there a difference between a triple toon and, say, a Premier PTX? Absolutely. And same thing with a Monaco SHP V-toon technology. The PTX and the V-toon are simply going to give you much better performance than what some of the round center tubes are. Now let's talk about horsepower for a second. We just got out of the Minneapolis Boat Show, and I saw a number of dealers advertising triple toon pontoon for a certain dollar amount, and it included a 115 horsepower motor. Well, I don't agree with that. Here's my point. 115 horsepower isn't enough horsepower to get that boat up on top of the water. It's going to plow through the water. You need top speed. You need power to get that boat powered up on top of the water. And 115 horse just isn't going to do it. Therefore, at Family Marine, any triple toon boat that we have in stock, we base price with 150 horse. And then we have motor options to upgrade from there. We also always include a stainless steel propeller with 150 horse and larger. Why? When you get to a 150 horsepower motor, you have so much torque from the engine to the prop that if you were using an aluminum prop, the metal in the aluminum prop is so soft that it flexes and you lose a lot of performance. Stainless steel, being a much stronger material, cuts through the water. We don't have as much slip and doesn't flex like an aluminum prop does, so we get much better performance out of a stainless steel prop than we do out of aluminum prop. As I said, 150 horses are stock engine for a triple tune, and we always put a stainless steel OEM, not a generic brand propeller, original equipment manufacturer's propeller. We use a lot of Mercury propellers. People will tell you, and I'll say this too, you might be buying a Yamaha motor on your pontoon, but I'm going to put a Mercury propeller on there. Mercury just does a fabulous job with their props. The efficiency of their props, in my opinion, is better than anything else I've ever seen out there. Thanks so much for watching. If you're considering buying a fishing boat or a pontoon, here's some easy ways to reach Family Marine. Call us to set up a private showing of any of the 50-plus boats currently in stock. Attend one of our boat shows on the second Saturday of every month. Of course, the best way is to simply stop in our store. Family Marine is located 3 miles north of Willmar on Highway 71. Willmar, of course, is located 70 miles west of Minneapolis on Highway 12. Visit our website at familymarineboats.com for more boat previews and check out our Buyers Resource Center packed with educational videos for boat buyers. You can see Family Marine on Facebook, YouTube, or simply email or call us with any questions you may have. If you've enjoyed these videos, please like and comment below. Thanks again for watching.